And we're live. Welcome to week 97 of Supercharge Fridays. If you have been here before, you know the drill. Come in the comments and say hello. What time is it? Which city are you in? I love to know this stuff. Give me a lot of likes and hearts. We have a juicy topic. We're going to talk about attracting headhunters' attention, particularly when you are not in the same country as that headhunter, but you want to be, right? What are some of the things that you can do? I just want to also do a quick recap because a couple of weeks ago, I had a fabulous headhunter called Arpat Skazal, who is super international. Lives in London, is originally from Hungary, gave some fantastic tips. So I recommend that you go to LinkedIn and follow hashtag Supercharge Fridays so you can catch and never miss another edition. So before I introduce my fabulous guest, I also wanted to say that the coming Wednesday, 1st of December, I am doing a masterclass on how to have a fabulous resume that converts into interviews. I've got about 360 signups already, so I'm very excited. I've worked really hard on that masterclass. So if you haven't signed up already, I just wanted to do a quick reminder, a little plug for that on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Actually, at this time, Central European time. So, um, the topic of attracting attention is a very popular one. I've been getting this question for a while, and I know a thing or two about it, having lived and worked abroad, and learned the local languages. Those are very valuable skills that you can have when you move and live abroad. And I thought, yeah, I've been there, done that. I can talk about it. The guest I'm going to bring on has been there, done that 10 times over. I speak 5 languages. She speaks 9 languages. Okay. I've done some recruiting, headhunting. She does that full time. Like that's her job. So, what am I saying here? I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who are specialists and very, very good at what they do. Surround yourself with good people. That's how you grow. And so I'm thrilled to have people like Arpad and TIINA in my network. So, and share that network with you. So without further ado, I am going to bring on TIINA. I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, Sonal. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations, already 97th week. That's really well done.
It is insane. Thank you. I'm excited to have you here. And I see that we are joined by some wonderful people. And I'm going to give these guys a shout out on the screen. So, TIINA, let's get started with the topic. And before we do that, tell us a little bit about your backstory. I already hinted it, but I gave like the quick and dirty version. Tell us a little bit about, like, in your quick and dirty way, your career backstory.
So I work as a headhunter. I've done it. I worked in the executive search industry my whole career, with finding talent to multinationals. So working not only in Belgium, pan-European searches and global searches. So, like you said, I speak several languages. I have lived in different countries, and I'm very passionate about recruitment and diversity in workplace.
Okay, fab. Lovely that you're here, and lovely to have our friends, old and new, and a special shout out to someone who has said something in one of your native languages that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce.
Hi, Risto. He says hello from the snowy Savonlinna in
Yeah.
Finland.
Okay, fab. Hello. I will say hello in English. Okay. So, TIINA, okay, it's clearly established you know a thing or two about this. Now, someone who's listening today, one of the many questions I get is how do I attract the attention? That's like level one. And the level two will also be things like I don't necessarily have permission to work in that country. So, we're going to attack it like step by step. Now, how does the person who's interested um, in a position, let's say, or just to simplify things, right? Let's say they are interested in working in Belgium. There is a particular company they've been following, and they don't live in Belgium today. Maybe they don't even live in Europe. So tell us what are some of the things you like when people do these things, like do's, and some of the things which, according to you, are a complete no no.
I think your question is already a very good one, because it's targeted. You know which company you're looking for, which position, and which country. That's already a long way, because I get so many messages. My DMs are open, so anyone from LinkedIn can send me a DM. We don't have to be connected, so you can send me a DM and say, this is the don'ts. Do you have a job for me? So not even saying which kind of job you're looking for, where. The first step is really getting clarity what you're looking for and where, and then we can go into a further discussion. So really knowing what you're looking for, have the strategy, and then start looking.
Specific details are your friends, and I also get these questions, TIINA, very, very frequently. The job of TIINA is not to find you a job. Her job is to find to close an open position for her client, and that is usually bleeding. So that is the priority. It's very important to know which side of the bread is buttered for whom. So don't, number one, don't reach out randomly because you look and sound confused. The more targeted your question is, the more people like TIINA can help you. Fab. That's a great start. What else?
So, like you said, don't send out just random or unpersonalized connection requests. It's really it's about relationships. So like you said, the one who's paying my fees are the multinational companies, not the candidates. So you have to stand out from the rest. You have to do a personalized approach. Don't do any like on LinkedIn, you can just click. LinkedIn starts with saying what you could say. Don't use automated anything, because I work in a very personalized way, and my name on LinkedIn is written in capitals. So I see directly when somebody is just clicking on automated sentences. That doesn't leave a very good first impression. So don't do that, because if you can't even take 5 seconds to write a 5-letter name correctly, I don't know if it's a good start of a future trust relationship.
A future trustworthy relationship. That's a great point. I don't know if people know this, but it's worth highlighting. Again and again, I don't know how many dozens of times I've done it. It's worth that. I'm glad you said it. Some people are quite advanced users of LinkedIn. People like, I think, Kevin D. Turner, Andy Fort. I can think of Rachel Simon. There's a few of them that I can think of that have done something with their name. Like, I don't know if Kevin's done it today. I'll tag him in the comments. Oh, by the way, belated Thanksgiving to all the North American, the US Americans. I hope you guys are not too bad with the food coma. We all know how it can be. If the name is capitals, or I think in Rachel's case, she has a little, like a little dash next to her name, because she knows that it's either a bot or it's suggested software. So if you do that and you write capital, hello, TIINA, like, firstly, it looks like you're shouting because the name is in capitals, but she's done it for a reason, because she knows, is it a real human who's written, or it's just according to the suggestion. Don't start with a bad impression, right? So, okay. Fantastic. TIINA, I'm just going to jump in the comments and see if we have any pressing questions in there. Good morning, G. Let's see.
Richard van der Blom also has a C in front of his name.
Richard van der Blom has a copyright, which, by the way, can sometimes be a tiny bit annoying, because when I tag him, and if I just want Richard, it doesn't come. It just shows up as copyright. But that's a separate story. Hey, Salim, we're going to look at questions related to the topic today. If we have time, we'll address you live. Otherwise, I'll answer it when we are no longer live. Interesting. Varsha's asking, hey Varsha, oh by the way, Varsha's going to be live with me on 17th of December and we're going to talk about resumes, nerdy, geeky topic. We love it because it can make or break your first impression. Varsha says, do the formats differ globally? If yes, and if your format doesn't fit well with the usual, is it still considered? It's a good question. I have some thoughts on it. What do you think, TIINA?
Well, I have also thoughts from different people, different companies. It really looks very different depending on if you are in the US or if you're English speaking country in Europe. If you have the photos or if you don't use the photos, it looks very different. And you really have to find out what is the case in the country. Like sometimes I see even passport numbers. I'm like, this is too much information. You should definitely not put that on your CV if you're applying for a job in Europe. So that comes later. So find out what is the culture in the country where you're sending it, because it shows your cultural awareness. And it already puts you in the right mindset and shows that you have done your homework.
That you have done your homework. I think, Varsha, that's a really, really good question because there will be one standard. Some people call it the American standard. I don't like that because it's like as if it's the monopoly of everything, which is not fair. There is one standard, and I've had that standard from since I was 21. So if you don't include date of birth, if you don't include a picture, if you keep it brief and accomplishment focused, and it doesn't sound like a regurgitated job description, it doesn't contain things like references available on request. It doesn't contain reasons for leaving. It doesn't contain the number of your family members and your marital status, because I've seen people do that here in Europe. Then I would say that's a pretty good global standard. And I think you're pretty safe with that. And that's, by the way, the one I'm going to be teaching in the masterclass. So that's excellent. And I'm glad, TIINA, that you brought it up. It's sometimes people are sensitive and it can pisses some people off, but the rest of them are like, there is a little leeway because they see that this person is not originally from that particular country. And Sajid is here from Toronto. Good morning. He brings up a great point. Your title is also important when you're connecting with a recruiter along with a personalized request. Like, what do you do today? Right? People like TIINA want to see that. And that's also a pretty good first impression as well. So I see other questions. We're going to get to your questions in a bit. So don't send random. And I think you said one more don't. I don't remember. Any other point you want to bring up that you see frequently and you're almost like allergic to?
Like the automated, but also don't throw your CV at somebody when you meet them at the networking event. And don't throw it in my DMs before we know each other either. Ask if I would like to see it or not. So that it really has to. It's a communication, and don't do things too early. Otherwise, it will come across desperate.
Otherwise, it comes across as desperate. Oh, that's a really good point. I think this is a very interesting one, TIINA, because I tell the same thing to my clients as well. You know, at the first point of contact, do not enclose the resume because they haven't asked for it. And I almost think of it as a sacred document. It's me. It's my history as well as my future. Arpad had something interesting. He said, yeah, when you reach out, keep it brief, keep it short, send me your CV. I don't have time to go back and ask you for it. What do you think about that approach?
Well, I think something about the CVs as well. What is different? There are some companies because of the ATS system, they want to send it in Word document. For me, the perfect one is in PDF, because if I open it on Word document on my phone, it just goes everywhere. And you want to make sure that it's in the right format. So ask, in which format would you prefer it as well?
Yes. And also ask, would it be okay if I shared my CV with you?
Yes.
I'm a fan of that approach as well. I think that there are not a question of right or wrong. It's about adapting to people's preferences. So this is a great approach, and I like that there was a different approach a couple of weeks ago, because you want to play it safe as far as possible. All right.
I think
Yes.
that there is a very big difference, because he's very specialized in the
Industrial
industry.
transportation.
So
Yes.
for him, it's very important to have the network and people from the same network, and then you can have the database. I work with different types of industries globally, so the chance of me having your CV when I have the same job description on my desk, it's close to zero. But I appreciate building a relationship and reaching out as for sourcing, or it's really so much about fixing the roof before it starts raining, or putting in the deposit in the bank before you start taking out interest. Or
no, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, fantastic. I'm gonna sort of jump in the comments and see what else is happening. G agrees with us. She's also an HR person, and she says generic is just bad, but sending it with the wrong name is worse. Then I saw a very specific question here about no, it was an interesting comment here about each country does have some sort of formats. You can Google this information out if you're interested in something in Canada. Then Sajid has a particular point of view. Rich, it's not that the address and phone is not done in Europe. It's definitely done. What I meant was there's certain extras that may be considered scandalous in other countries. And by the way, yes, go ahead.
In some European countries, you're not allowed to put your birth date on it for the discriminations. But sometimes
that's it.
I see the marital status. Sometimes I see even remarried to the same person. It's like, this is interesting.
I have seen like trying to show that they're different, the name of their cat and the name of their dog. And I'm like, really? Like, seriously? Marital status, I know that many people write that because the person can also, when the time comes to make an offer, they can calculate, because your income, your take-home net income will vary if you're married or single. And apparently it's a simplification. I think it's kind of silly, because you can always ask that question when the time comes later, after the offer, not before, particularly if you're a woman. So yes, Sabrina, the video will be available. Just come into LinkedIn. It'll be there for posterity under the posts. Then I saw a question here about the UK. I've been actively applying to NHS organizations in the UK. I've not been successful. How can I improve the resume? What do you think?
I think you really, if you are invited to interviews and you don't get the offers, then we should see how you could better market yourself. But if you don't even get to interviews, then a quick look at the CV and some small touches will make the difference if you are qualified for the position.
Yeah, for sure. Arif, attend the masterclass on Wednesday, because we talk about this. If you're not getting calls for interviews, there's something not working with your resume. And by the way, also worth checking out, do they need somebody who's already living and working in the UK, who already has a work permit? Sometimes those things are non-negotiable. So it might be wasting your time if you're applying. And it's, you know what I mean? Because in some countries, it's a pain in the backside. Vishal's asking, is it necessary that we need expertise or certification to get a good opportunity abroad, or are companies open to experimenting?
I think you would really do yourself a favor if you would have the right experience and right studies, because now there is the war on talent. Like if you're in tech, if you're IT programmer, or in the automotive sector, those profiles are really sought after. It's like, if you buy a car now, you have to wait for 6 months because there are not enough chips. And it's because we need more of qualified, skilled people. Like the last searches I've done, all of them are people who come from outside Europe. So it's because I couldn't find the person here. So it's really, you have to do your part. And then if you don't have the visa, multinationals have departments where people deal with that. So if you have the skills, the companies will bring you over and arrange it. Of course, it may take time, sometimes up to 6 months, but it's really not a sprint, it's a marathon, getting
Absolutely, it's
a
not
job
a sprint.
abroad. Yeah,
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I saw a comment here. So Tarun, this is what we're talking about today. So perhaps go and watch the replay, because we talked about starting with a specific target list in mind. And Vishal, I don't know any company that is willing to experiment bringing people from abroad. It's crazy expensive. Nobody has budget to waste, right? They will call you because you have a specific skill set. Because TIINA says, I have looked for 6 months and I can't find anyone who possesses X skill set. Can you give us an idea, TIINA, of what are some skill sets that you feel, particularly in your experience, that are in short supply?
well, the ones I mentioned, the tech ones, automotive ones, so mostly engineering profiles. So I would say it's a smaller chance to get a job for a commercial position, because then you need the local languages and on fluent level. It can happen if it's an English-speaking country, but normally if it's local languages, you need to speak to the clients, you need to have the languages. But I would say, if you can explain that you have traveled to the country, or you have family there, you want to join your wife or husband, or you have friends there, it's also something reassuring, because companies take a huge risk moving you from one part of the world to the other. It's expensive, and then you don't know upfront if your family will adapt. So it's a big risk, but if you can assure that it will work, and sometimes, like you said, I want to come to Belgium, but let's take an example, Estonia. There are so many startups, IT companies, so many tech people from Brazil are moving to Estonia because we have lack of that type of skilled talent. If you adapt to Estonia and maybe in the future you think, oh, I would like to relocate to Germany, maybe that could be a stepping stone. Or so it's easier to go for an interview from Estonia to Germany, or at least show that it's closer. But now with the remote jobs, you have to know if remote jobs means that you can work from the same country, or you can be anywhere in the world. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. So it's a little bit easier to get hired in engineering and technology positions. Does that mean that you have an MBA or a history master's that you're not gonna? We're not saying that. It's just finding that particular, way where your skill set will be valued, right? And that's a great point. And I saw a very interesting comment here about when it comes to tech, for example. You're looking at a lot of tech roles, TIINA, and Ira says it's sad because you don't see particularly women in these particular professions. Do you feel like there's a bias, particularly when you're getting people from abroad?
Well, when it comes to tech positions and senior level positions, I always want to bring in the diversity. So it takes longer to find women in tech, but they are there. So that's not the problem. It's just making the effort, and that's what I get paid for. And often women in tech, they have a better network because they stand out. Everyone will remember them from the conferences because they just look different. They are not in a gray suit. And so it's a bias. But it exists, and it's growing, and they are very good in building relationships, in business development. So I think definitely we need more diversity. It's
Yeah.
only profitable for the company to have it.
And good recruiters and good headhunters know that. So they will always do their best to present in the shortlist more diversity. It's in their interest, it's in the company's interest, it's win win. So, speaking of bias, Tina, what do you think about a video introduction? Somebody reaching out to you. Zabi is asking, does that make a difference?
Zabi, yeah, I think it's very good one. I made some notes. I put that one as well. So do something different than everyone else does. Like if you're afraid of video introduction, do the voice note. You have 1 minute to send it, and really make it personalized. It's not about you. It's really about the person to whom you're sending it. Make sure that you don't send the same video, because then it loses then
Hi
it's
there.
propaganda. Then it's not communication.
Oh my god. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, are you kidding me? That's your YouTube intro? No, it's funny because I think it's a personal preference, Tina. That's very interesting. When I connect with someone and somebody's like, "Hey, I'm so excited to connect with you," and I'm like, "Hey, awesome." And when something happens and they send me a text, I like it. I feel like it brings us closer. Video audio text,
Yeah.
audio voice message, right? That option is available on LinkedIn. Many people don't know that. In the messenger, there's a little microphone, you click on it and you do it. I don't know. My thing is, when somebody has just connected with me and they send me a video, I I don't know. I don't love it. I feel like it's too soon and we've moved too quickly. And it's like, are they trying to prime me up for a sale or ask me for a favor? Do you know what I mean? It's not right or wrong. It's just, I think, a personal preference. Do you feel like that sometimes?
I almost never get any video messages. Really, people don't take. You just take your phone and shoot a short one, and say hello. I'm very excited to join your network. Greetings from Belgium. Look forward to engaging on your content. That's all you need. You don't have to do more, and then you can be sure that this person only sent it to you, and it feels personal, and I appreciate.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a great point. Okay, we have a lot of questions, Tina. So we're going to get into it because I think the questions themselves will help bring up even more points. This is a nice, long, juicy one from Nidhi. I want to ask you, I'm in Brussels, looking for an opportunity in Brussels. I have a gap in employment, but I have experience in recruitment for more than 3 years. And I still can't. Is it because of the gap, or is it because I need to work on some skills? What is your initial impression based on the question?
It really depends on what you're looking for. If I, as an international person, I would look for international companies, because that's where your international experience will be valued. I don't know to which companies you reach out to, in which way. It really, how you market yourself. You really have to be clear about the positive story that you're bringing to the company, and it really needs to shine through that you're specifically interested in this company, and not sending the same application to all the other companies on the same street.
And I don't think it's related to your gap. You're not the first person in the world, Nidhi. Don't worry about the gap. If you focus on it, then it will become larger than life, right? It's a lot of us have been in your shoes. And watch the video that I've done on my YouTube channel on career gaps as well, which helps you to position yourself. It's exactly what Tina is saying, and going into detail there. Lots of handy dandy tips by wonderful people like Sajid and G. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, come into LinkedIn and go through the comments. They're very, very valuable. Venkat is asking, do you need to tweak your resume? Like some people overdo it with this piece of advice. For every single position we're applying to, for getting your attention, Tina, for global headhunters, or can it be on point? What is the practice?
I see so often that people just have one CV that they made when they were just leaving the university, and then they are just adding new experiences to that, and it's not specifically tailored for the specific job title and the job description. So you don't have to change it for every company, but if it's a specific title, then you have to have all the right keywords in it. So if you work with sales and then you work with business development, you really need to have the right words, what are applicable for the position. Don't second guess it.
Yeah, don't second guess it. All right, fantastic. Second guessing is fatal. It will cost you sometimes the opportunity. It's not worth it. I just looked up the name, LinkedIn user. You need to go into your settings because you're appearing as private to a third party because this is a streaming platform. But I looked it up. I think you're Arif. So Arif's asking something that a lot of people wonder about. Is it okay to contact recruiters before actually starting the application so that we can be certain that, like they'll be memorable? Your expert opinion, like I'm giving you the microphone.
I think it's really important that you stand out, because there are always many people who have the same qualifications, the same background, but what makes you different? Sometimes it's a personality thing, and or a language that makes you stand out. And I put my own reputation on the line when I'm presenting you to companies. And if I send one person who is not up to scratch, that's really bad for my reputation. So I need to be sure that you are the right person. And if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, you can do it via commenting on content, on posts, before even connecting. So I already know, okay, I've seen this name and this headline before. So we know each other from somewhere, because you have to have several connection points. I won't remember you just from one conversation.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. So many fantastic comments here. My goodness, I'm overwhelmed is the wrong word. I'm so grateful. Like, thank you. And I want to give a quick shout out. We're going to take a 20-second commercial break, and it's not commercial. We're going to say hello to a few friends. Kevin, who's taking a little detox but has dropped in to say hello during a digital detox, and Jeff. Guys, I hope you had stretchy pads yesterday after your Thanksgiving feast. There is a particular GIF which is hilarious, which is Joey from Friends, and he's like, "These are my Thanksgiving pants." So I sent that to like so many of my American friends. Commercial break over. One day it'll be a proper commercial break, but till then we are gonna have to do with silly Thanksgiving jokes. Anyway, hope you guys are well and hope you've had a good Thanksgiving yesterday. I completely agree with you, TIINA, what you said, because everyone has a preference, right? In terms of how, and anything you can do that helps you to stand out is always a good idea, like always. But you want to also not overdo it, because remember, TIINA said she's not working for you. In fact, it's the opposite. She's putting her reputation on the line by presenting you to her client. And if the client comes back and says, "TIINA, what were you thinking? You've been doing this for 20 years. I can't believe you sent me that person." She can't afford that. It can cost her a very, important assignment. And if the reputation is ruined, they will not call her back. It's a small world. So you don't want to do anything silly or silly like that.
But if you want to do something that you want to stand out, like if so many people ask, "Oh, can we have virtual coffee?" The first thing that you say in a connection, that's too soon. But if you want to have, like, send a coffee voucher for $5, and you can have a virtual coffee. And I mean, if you want to apply for a job with 50K salary, you can invest $5 in a coffee, but it just makes you stand out, and it shows that you are not only desperate and really going for anything. It's like you have to give first before you get something. You can't say to the fire that heat me before you put in the log, like
don't ask the fire to heat. Don't ask the fire to do its job if you haven't turned on the fire. No, that's a great point. And I think that what you're saying here, TIINA, is very tricky as well, because the person should have done something for you or helped you out, and then you're like, hey, I'm so grateful. I'd like to send you a little something. It's a very nice gesture. Not many people do it, but I'm guessing, TIINA, that's not the first thing you want. Like, hey, how are you? My name is Suzanne, and I live in Canada. I want to work in Belgium. Here's $5. Like, obviously, please apply common sense. Timing is everything.
And those things don't happen overnight. It really takes conversations and build them before you need something.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You said that at the beginning very rightly. Hey, Gurbir, date of birth is ridiculous. I mean, that's a topic in itself on stupid practices that we are, doing today. Sahil, Canada, we're not talking about Canada specifically today. You can Google this part out and maybe see who are the coaches who specialize in certain regions, because you'll see that as well. I'm just going to, TIINA, run through some questions really quickly, because I want to save the juicy ones for you. Is it necessary to have a virtual contact number in the country? I don't think so, Jakir. At least, TIINA, you can say yes or no, because I've never seen that happen if you don't live in that particular country.
I think many people don't put the country code in, but, especially US numbers.
Yes. Not everybody knows you guys are 01.
Yes, okay? You just everyone puts it. Please just put the international number, because sometimes I really need to get you on the phone, not
and
on
the recruiter's not going to waste her precious time going on Google and saying, what is where do you come from? Like, what country is that? How do I reach out to you? That's a really good point. Thank you for talking about the international number, but I don't think you need to have a virtual contact number from that country if you're applying to that country. Pavani has a great question here. What do you think about remote work, TIINA, particularly in the case of international roles like you've seen? Are they hiring a lot of remote positions?
I have done remote positions as well this year, and it's really, remote is such a big umbrella. So meaning remote, you can be based anywhere in the world, any time zone, or that you have to live in a specific country, in a specific city, work those hours, or you can be based in Europe. It really depends on the taxes. So for some companies, you have to be in the same country. For others, you can travel anywhere. So you really need to be specific. What are your preferences for remote work? And because it's just a very broad definition.
It's a very broad definition. And also, I think, if they're going to hire someone, they also need to have a very extensive tax team in place, because it's very complicated. You're living in another country. How is that going to work? Because the income is for the company is in another country. So it's one of those things that I think is still developing, right?
Yes, and also that when you have a global position, when you are based in Belgium, you can easily have team calls with Asia in the morning, and then in the evening with the US. So you are in between the two, because it's the reality now. You need to participate in international meetings, and therefore you have to adapt to those international working hours. Not every day, but when it happens.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, if this live stream is helping you, tell us it's helping you. Give us a comment, give us likes, hearts, wherever you are. Like, I'm a dopamine dealer. Like, I live for that stuff. I was going to say something else. And a quick shout out to Robert. Robert was, I think, on John Experience Friday Shout.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you, Robert. Thank you for dropping by. People are still, oh, that's so awesome. People are still recovering from Thanksgiving. Kevin's like, I'm not eating today. After family food, football friends feast. Good Lord. So amazing. I'm going to see what I missed out in terms of juicy little comments. Tina, you're very kind with your time. I will specifically see questions. Karthikeyan. Okay. How long should you wait after the initial telephone screening and catch up? It's been 4 weeks so far. Tina, what do you think?
I think there is like common sense is a good one, but following up in a kind way, and I think you have a very good rule. Following up, it shows me that you're motivated, because there are so many people who don't follow up, and they are looking for so many applying for so many different positions at the same time, and they don't even remember the job description that we were talking about. So if you follow up, for me, that's a good one. That shows that you're interested in a way that I wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, I would say so for sure, Karthikeyan, but 4 weeks is honestly, in my experience, it's been a while. So in the future, please don't wait that long. Wait for a week and then follow up, right? I say this repeatedly, once a week for 3 weeks, but 4 weeks is almost like out of sight, out of mind. Very useful comment here by Sajid on women in tech. Hey, Tina, the question here by Rich. Do companies you represent ever hire remote folks working from the US, but willing to travel globally, for things like, auditing, etc., and they need that person from a certain country? Don't you think they need to move? Like, how does that work according to you?
It really depends on company to company, and there are specific websites for remote work. Just Google. There are so many. If you're interested in that kind of work, there are so many opportunities. There are job coaches who are specialized in getting you a remote job in 90 days. But it's really becoming more and more part of the normal life now.
Yes, it is. Hey, Alicia, got a couple of very interesting comments here. Sylvie says, so this is a very good point, and I think it can apply to many people, not just the thing that Sylvie is talking about. Hey, Sylvie, thank you for being here. I work in Belgium as a recruiter in a hospital. We also recruit people with a bachelor's from abroad, but it is for specific jobs, right? I'm guessing there's a shortage. Imaging technologists, nurses, lab technologists, but be careful. You need to make sure that the courses you attend are equivalent to the studies in the country you're interested in, and also be able to express yourself, particularly in countries where English is not a native language. That's a very useful point, Sylvie. Really appreciate that you shared that. And Risto says, hey, do something different. Make it positive. Maybe, positively, professionally, personal. Nothing more is needed to start the conversation. That's a really, really great point. Rajiv's in Hong Kong, and he says, I don't know if this is relevant. Do you think some countries need to provide more flexibility to work visas, which may encourage relocation? Specifically, if I move to Singapore, my spouse is unable to work under my visa unless such a pain in the neck. I mean, for sure, we need more flexibility. We don't have that problem in Belgium, though, right?
Yeah, and I think countries are adapting now. Like Germany also became more liberal, so that the spouse also can work. I had the same experience when we moved to Sweden with my family, that my mother didn't get automatically the work visa. Then they saw that they really needed skills from abroad, so they needed to change the politics. But it's a slow process, and I think it's really the politicians need to acknowledge also the war on talent, because that's the reality. And I think the companies and politicians are still thinking that it will not happen. It has already happened.
It has already happened. All right, great. Prashant says he's doing e-commerce content management, and his experience of working as a third-party service provider for several years from another country, is it helpful while applying for a role directly in that company in another country? Because you said you talked about tech. I'm not sure this is exactly relevant to what you do, but he's interested to know more about this, where sponsorship is required.
I think it's very relevant, and I've done something in e-commerce as well, and it's something that's booming because of the pandemic, and there is a lot of experience in the B2C sector, but B2B companies are just joining the train. So it's very interesting if you can prove that. And another tip, if you can choose for Fortune 500 companies. It doesn't matter if you work in Brazil or in India, in one of those big names. If I see that on the CV, it's just a quality stamp. So it really helps you.
Yeah, no, it does for sure. Then I see a question here from Sarath. How are jobs based on soft skills evaluated in global markets, particularly at the entry and mid-level positions? What do you think?
Well, I don't even like it because it's called soft skills.
I know. It makes me
that comes through in the interview process when you show your personality, and it really makes a difference. People are evaluating if they want to have you as a colleague, somebody who they trust. If you have awesome personality, that helps you far in your network and with your clients. So it's very important.
Yeah, no, for sure. And how are they evaluated according to you?
Interviews
And these tests and all, do you think they make a difference? Personality tests, strength-based tests?
Well, it's part of the recruitment process. So the tests are not just separately that you choose somebody who was the best on test. I need to see how you have communicated with me. If you have come back when you said you would send your CV, you did it. That I trust you, and then on interviews you behave well and make a good impression. And it's not just the tests.
Got it. Listen, that's a great answer, TIINA. It's a holistic approach.
Yes.
So you are under a microscope. It's nothing to be worried about, but you need to put your best foot forward. The recruiter is not your best friend, and you can start like revealing your deep, dark secrets to them and chill out. And you said you'll send your resume tomorrow, but you sent it like next Thursday. That stuff, TIINA says she pays close attention to. So you want to watch out for that. Hi there. He's talking about building a connection and network within the organization. It is a very good question. It's a little bit off topic today for sure, but I have addressed this in past live streams. I'm going to link them if I can at the end. And Sky is asking about when you look for diverse... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's actually quite relevant question because when we're talking about internal positions, I interview for a position in Belgium. If it's a remote one or a global one, I interview also people in the Americas. So, or if you're working in an international company and you want to go abroad, start with the internal position, because internally you're almost always guaranteed an interview. So if you work for Bosch in India, look for other opportunities abroad.
And
what you the low-hanging fruit.
No, that's a great point. I think your name is Shashidhar. I think it definitely helps to have internal champions who will, say, yes, please hire this person. This person is really good. So if you want to know how to build that sort of network internally, mentorship, etc., there's a live stream I did with a professor from INSEAD back in like September last year, and I'll find it and link it in the comments later. Great point. So Sky is asking, when it comes to looking for a diverse candidate, how do you discover these elements about them if it's not explicitly stated in their documents?
Well, I look for very specific profiles. For example, somebody who is a native German speaker in Belgium. So that's how the diversity comes in. I can't look for it on LinkedIn. because it just shows the languages. But if I look for Schule, which means German in English, yeah. So I put that in, and with those keywords, I will find you. So make sure you have all the right keywords in your updated profile on LinkedIn, with your picture and maybe with the audio file pronouncing your name. That's always helpful with your experience and your studies.
Okay, good. Thank you. And it's a really, really good question as well. So Zamir is saying, apart from job postings, right? Are there any other resources that have information about companies that are hiring people from abroad?
I think like networking is also important. Maybe network with countrymen who live already in the country where you want to go, because I sometimes hear that people, I want to go anywhere in the world. You really have to make it more targeted to do the research and why you would want to, if you have a passion about whatever it might be, the I don't know, Belgian chocolate is famous. You always wanted to live in a country where you could eat chocolate every day, or whatever small detail that makes you stand out.
No detail is too small, I think. That's a great point. And let's see. Yes, someone says, yes, school is school. It's an interesting point. And Karthikeyan is saying, so I did send a thank you mail the next day. 1 week later, I did a follow-up. And 3 weeks later, I did an update request, didn't get anything. TIINA, I'm guessing that never happens with you, right, as a recruiter. But what do you say to this person who's done everything by the book and yet there's no response?
I think you should focus on being in several searches at the same time. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. If you see this one is not going forward, look for another one. So you have several offers in the end that you can compare with each other. I think it sounds like this is not going really well because you have followed up. If you wouldn't have followed up, it's a different one. But thank you for explaining the details.
Yes, it is. I think it's a sign. We like to be forgiving, and we like to give benefit of the doubt to the company. I wish the company would also give benefit of the doubt to the person. Like, take a risk, take this person on. They're great at what they do, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So this could be a sign that maybe something about the culture that you have to chase people, otherwise things don't happen. We don't know that. I'm being judgmental here, but you never know. So sometimes I think I have dodged a bullet when they ghosted me. It totally depends on your outlook. And to the previous question, who was asking about anything else I can do, Zamir, I see that you followed up with the same question. Erica also says, also ask your network about the companies who've sponsored in the past or who have employees with global immigration in their titles, because the thing is, they are used to it. They are like dedicated departments, like TIINA said, who are looking for getting the best people no matter where they live today, right? So that's the one that you want to focus on. All right. So I think that we've had a lot of questions. Really grateful. If this has been helpful, please tell us in the comments if this has been helpful. I think we covered a lot, TIINA. We talked about overall, how do you attract the attention of a headhunter? Headhunters can be your friends, but don't befriend them immediately. Make it a professional relationship. But there's so much headhunters can do to help you to, get your foot in the door in those dream companies that you're looking for. We talked about what do I do? I want to be in this, start with a specific question in mind. I want to be in this company in this country. How do I go about it? As opposed to, hi, TIINA, I have a resume here. Can you help me? I want to move to Belgium, for example. Right?
Because if I don't have it on my desk and I know some IT recruiters in Hungary, I will make the introduction and I can suggest go there, because that's what I always try to do. But if you don't even know what you're looking for, then it's very difficult to help you.
And make it easy for her to help you, right? And somebody asked, can I connect? TIINA said she has an open message. Anybody can message her. Please don't abuse it. Take advantage. Obviously, say you saw her on Supercharged Fridays. Do not inundate her, with pointless requests. Very important to respect people's time, right? And so we went through so many do's and don'ts, and we particularly said that she's hiring a lot in international roles where people have to be relocated, in specifically in engineering and tech. It's not a surprise. Other professions, not so much, right? Not so much today. And if you want to know more about TIINA, as you can probably tell, her spelling is interesting. So she has two I's in her name, in her first name. So her LinkedIn profile is hilarious. It's TIINA with two I's, but obviously two I's. It makes me laugh. And I actually, when I heard you say this on Clubhouse once, TIINA with two I's, I was like, oh yeah, two I's, yeah, for sure. Did she mean I or did she mean I? And I thought that should be her LinkedIn URL. And I went to your LinkedIn. I'm like, that is her URL. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. TIINA, this has been so helpful. I definitely think I'm going to watch the replay because I learned a thing or two, and I recommend to everyone to watch the replay as well. Thank you for coming in, and glad this was useful. And yeah, I mean, it's a process. You don't start in November if you want to get a job in January. Please snap out of it. Be realistic. It takes time to build those relationships, to get that opportunity, to follow up, have no pride, and keep going at it. But it is worth it. So many of us have done it. TIINA is not Belgian. I'm not Belgian. We live in Belgium, for example. Oh, by the way, she doesn't live far away from me. But there are countries which are more open, right? And there are shortages in skills. And I think as a human being today, you have full freedom to experiment and go out there. You just have to find the match, right, that suits you. So appreciate you being here today. Next week, come in at the same time. We're going to have Helen Dunnett, and we're going to talk about conflict and what to do in teams where things are not working. Very tricky topic, very juicy topic. And if you missed the beginning, definitely check out my masterclass on Wednesday, 1st of December. Go to superchargeyourself.com/masterclass. TIINA, this has been so helpful. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, continue to shine and help as many people as you do.
Thank you so much, Sonal. It was a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. And see you soon.
See you soon. Bye, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend.